Alright, so on the last episode you saw us get the hood mounted up and modified to make sure everything fit. And that, for the time being, is good to go. Our goal for today is going to be to get the body mounted. We're going to get that bolted down correctly. And then there's some trimming that needs to be done just to make sure things fit right, make sure everything looks nice. And so we're going to get things marked up. We're going to start doing some trimming. We'll get the hood mounted again so we can finish the front brackets and any trimming that may need to happen on this to get that to fit the body. In preparation for getting this mounted, we went ahead and covered the motor with just some plastic sheeting just to keep out any dust that we're going to kick up. And that's about it. So I think we're just going to go ahead and pull the hood off. We got to pull off the front support structure, get that out of the way. And then we're just going to get the body set on the car and see what we have to deal with. Alright, with all this stuff out of the way up in the front here, we're going to go ahead and get the body set on. Before we do that, we are going to be using this rubber gasket, which normally seals the Volkswagen body. We're not going to need it for sealing, but I'm going to use it just to help kind of minimize squeaks. So what we'll do is we'll get this laid out in place, and then we're going to grab the body and just slide it on. Okay, so the body's set in place here. What we want to show you next, before we actually get things bolted down, is just how we're actually going to be securing this. Normally what you see on these is just bolts holding the fiberglass. Looking at the old holes, they were warped and kind of in bad shape. So what I've done here is I've just taken and cut some strips of, well, it must be like 3/16 inch steel that are going to lay across the body here, and then when we run our bolts through, that should actually help clamp the fiberglass to keep it from warping and cracking at all of those holes. Because we're using that gasket, I don't want to crush the fiberglass tighter in one spot than another. So to help with that, what we're doing here is we picked up just some aluminum spacers. They're 1/2 inch outside diameter spacers that will fit the bolts that we're using. And what that's going to do is that will actually sit on the frame rail, and then the bracket here then will sit on top of that. So when I tighten this down, given the thickness of the body and the thickness of the gasket, it will actually crush the gasket just a little bit, again, just to keep things quiet. But that will allow me to tighten each bolt the same amount, so I know I've got even pressure on the body all the way across. So that's our setup here. All of that work is been taken care of. The gasket's been cut to fit the bushings. The holes in the body have been drilled out to fit the bushings. And so really at this point we're just going to get things bolted down, and then we'll show you all the little modifications we need to make. So we got the body bolted down tight here. Everything went pretty well. Now I want to show you some of the things we're going to be trimming up here. There's a few more bolts in the back that have to be put on, but we need the rear bumper on for that, so we're not gonna deal with that right now. So let's take a look up front here. All right, up in the front here, here's our straps that are pinching the body, and you'll notice how the fiberglass is sticking way out. It in fact hangs way over the edge of the frame rail here. it was fit to a different floor pan and rather crudely cut at that time. So what we want to do is actually trim this off flush with our straps here, as well as make sure it's flush to the front of the frame up here. I'm just simply going to take and scribe a line flush with that strap, one flush with that. We'll join these two once we get this off. And, I'll slightly round this corner off just to make it look a little better. But that'll take care of that. So we're going to do that in all the areas where this is hanging off. And then we can start trimming. So now that we've got that marked, we're going to leave that go. The next thing we're going to do here is put the front structure back in, get the hood mounted, and check the fit on that and get that all working. So we put the hood back on, and we went after these brackets that needed to be remade. And I made a couple changes while I was here. The original mount was made before we had these adjusters in. And this piece that originally straddled here, these adjusting nuts were going to run into that. So I didn't have any more adjustability. So what I did there is I just went ahead and got a piece of angle iron, which allowed me to cut a notch in this. So now I've got my adjustment range for lowering the vehicle if I want. Then these were the original brackets that held the hood on, and because of the caster shims, when that's in place, it no longer lined up. So we just went ahead and bent up some new brackets that were a little bit longer on the front side, so we could actually have a place to mount that. We're not done with the brackets. We're going to go through and clean them up, round off the corners, cut them to the right length, make sure everything looks good. But at least now things are solid mounted. So the hood is now completely mounted and ready to go. The next thing we were going to do was to start looking at body issues that need to be changed and fixed. But we had a change of plans here. Let's show you what's going on. So I put seats in it. Once we got the hood bolted on there, it was starting to look so much like a car, which is the first time it's looked like a complete car in years, that we're going to forget about the body for right now. We went and bolted in the seats, we bolted in some seat belts, we put the steering column in, and we've already got it wired up to run. So we're just going to take it for a drive. Okay, so the last thing we need to take care of before we can take this for a trip around the block here is we need an air cleaner. You'll notice that the carburetor actually sticks up out of the body a little bit. It's been kind of hacked out here for the carburetor to stick out. But the little tiny air cleaner we were running doesn't fit on the body anymore. So what we're going to do here is I placed a little order to Speedway Motors here, and I got a little scoop, little go fast scoop here, and just to make sure we're drawing in clean air, they do offer an air filter that clips onto this, and then once we have that in place, we are all ready to go. So we're gonna get this tightened up, take it for a spin.